Hello and welcome to a first for WIP12, which is, now that we're doing video, we can do some painting videos. So in this video, I will kind of talk through my process of painting the Juggernaut that Corvus Belli was kind enough to send me. So just showing the Juggernaut a bit right now. This is just with the base coating. And essentially it's just a dark gray base coat with Acrite gray from AK dry brushed on top. Moving on to, just trying to do the coils, decided to go for kind of a brownish color. You'll see I started using a bunch of the Reaper triads. So this Reaper triad is the Dusky Skin triad. So it starts with Dusky Skin shadow, moves to Dusky Skin, and then Dusky Skin highlight. So throughout the next little bit, you'll see me, highlighting, focusing first on getting all the kind of coiling painted in the dark color, and then leaving a bit of the darker shadow colors underneath, and then just focusing on those highlights as I progress up to the brighter tones. One nice thing about the Reaper range, especially these triads, is that they're very much designed to flow one into the other. They're kind of easy highlighting without thinking. You don't need to think about what color we'll highlight next. They kind of all go nicely. A nice and bad thing about the Reaper range, one of the things that made me generally move away from it, is that a lot of the paints aren't highly pigmented. They can be quite thin. And because of that, if you're willing to take the time, will slowly blend up nicely and give you nice highlights. But it'll take more layers to get coverage. So here with the final highlight, I'm really just focusing on those highest edges. You'll see on some of the coils there, very much focusing on the outer, more outside areas of the coils for the highlights, especially the layer before, really helping get that kind of metallic look to these very cylindrical almost coils. So just going around, this model was a pleasure to paint. There's so much little details, but it's also easy to miss. So at this point, I realized I should probably do the base before proceeding anymore, where, then I dry brush the base later and it hurts me. It goes over the nicely painted parts. So for the rock, keeping to that Acrite gray, which I like, just mixing in a bit of that pale gray just to pull it a bit away from the blue and more towards that gray color, but still leaving that nice gray blue that's going to be really the shadows for most of the model. And I'll use it, you'll see, in other areas. So here I'm mixing the Acrite blue, gray with a ocean blue to do a bit of not quite the Studio Schemes blue, but just quickly dry brushing the base and slowly making it bluer. Kind of flipped through quickly there, but added a bit of ice yellow to the mix. You'll see this color, like the Acrite gray, come up a lot in this video. I find the ice yellow is just a really nice color to mix into other colors to create their highlight color. It makes it so it doesn't desaturate as much as mixing in a white, and kind of keeps a bit of warmth to it. And this model in general, the scheme I'm going for, you'll see is actually quite cool, including the base, and there's a lot of blues being brought in by that Acrite. So having a little bit of warmth added back in here and there is nice to do. So I've moved on to painting the purple. So again, the purple was done with a Reaper range triad, and this was the Monarch purple, which you'll see going on now. And then, that's Regal purple, and then you'll see Monarch purple and Royal purple. That's it, kind of done. I took a bit of a break from painting the purple. The Regal purple is a very nice color, but it took at least 2 coats to get it to the level that I wanted. So I decided to take a step away and break off and do some blue. Once again, turning to that Reaper range. The blues, for the most part in the Reaper range, I'll be using the triad of Deep Ocean, Marine Teal, and Surface Aqua. Another reason I jumped away from this, like the base, I realized that can be messy at times. And when I was painting the purple on the hands, where there's these little covers, I realized, if I go back to the blue, I might get some on it. So I didn't want to take all the time highlighting the purple first. So again, I'm not going to do all the blue right now. I'm just going to do the hands just because those little purple bits. So I finish the hands to a point that I like and go back to the purple. Slowly highlighting up, doing a 50-50 mix of the Regal and Monarch purple to start. At this stage, I am really hitting, I'd say, majority of the purple panels still, leaving just a bit of the shadow of the darkest purple. It's going to be a number of layers slowly working up. Here, you quickly jump. This is the next, where it's just the straight this purple. And you see, again, focusing, I'm going for a bit of a metallic look. So you see me making the scratching marks, trying to define this, again, cylindrical almost shape that the tail has. There's a lot of cylinders, which personally I find one of the easier shapes to kind of highlight. And once again, now I'm taking some of that ice yellow into the royal purple and doing a more of an edge highlight, final highlight, just to make it brighter. I didn't end up capturing the video, but after this step, I came back to it the day after, and it was too much of a jump for me. So I ended up using, I don't even think it was diluted. I just came back in with the royal purple and did a kind of a thin glaze over top. You'll see now, if you look at the purple in the shot now, you'll see that it's not as bright on those highlights. It's because I just kind of glazed the tone down back over it a bit. So working on highlighting the blue, I did need to go back in with another coat of the darker blue just because it didn't cover very well, but then now I'm coming back in with a bit of a highlight. This was a bit of a process. I'm still really, blades in general are something I'm working on a lot. Even at the end of the process, I'm happy with the model overall. Not 100% on how the blades and the spikes turned out. You'll actually see over the course of these shots, you'll see it will look very different. So like right here, the highlight was I found too much of a jump, so I went back and did the same kind of glazing to feather out and thin it down. And then kind of going to the final step there, after going back with a highlight, going in with some ice blue. But the blades kind of jumped back and forth throughout the process. I was never really happy with them, but I decided to move on to the gray. And once again, we're working with another one of the triads. This is the stormy gray triad. So stormy gray, cloudy gray, and then misty gray. And this is, a much simpler process for me. It's something I've repeated on multiple models. It's just a, simple gray up metallic metal type look. These kind of circular rivet type things are on the model in a few places, and they're kind of easy. I always try and focus on the upper part and the upper part of the circle, and then the lowest part on the inside where some light might catch it. Here's some final steps with the final highlight. Because it's a kind of a more metallic look, I'm a lot less concerned with it jumping up to a quite bright gray. And also because it's on much smaller pieces. These kind of little hoofs they were fun and nice. And after struggling with the blue, going into these grays was kind of nice. It was a nice relief. So kind of just going around the model, much smaller bits, nicely speeding up the process. I will say, I know some of these shots aren't the best. This is the first time I was recording painting, so I'm working on trying to figure it out better. So I decided to paint the kind of hex panels using an AK paint because I wanted them lighter. I was looking for a beige color and decided on wood base, and then it was a bit too yellowy for me. So I found a nice mix of it and that Acarite blue to get some of that color. Worked really nicely. It kind of makes this almost slightly gray, greeny color. So mix some of it up, and then you'll see me just adding more and more of the wood base to the mixture as I progressively do highlights. This part of the model was actually one of the fastest, partially because hexes were pretty interesting, quick and easy to paint, easy to shape, but also, again, the coverage. I love AK paints. You'll see me use them in other videos after this. If you keep watching other videos, the coverage I find with the new AK range is just very good. So, like for the other layers, final highlight, I added that nice ice yellow in, adds a bit more warmth to this kind of almost desaturated, cooler beige color that I've created. So it adds that brightness while keeping the same general feel. So at this point, the model is more or less done. And the final thing is all the glowy bits. So I take some nice pure white. Here I actually do like the Reaper range because it flows very nicely into the cracks. Because it's kind of a glowing thing, if it doesn't cover super perfectly, it's fine. I'm going to cover this all up. This is just to give a nice light color for the paint that I end up using. And the paint that I end up using is from the Model Color Vallejo range, which is the nice green fluorescent. And it's kind of a weird, they're hard to use. You really need to mix it up. I cut it out. I can't just shake it. You need to kind of stir it to really get it unsettled. But after that, it's almost like a glaze you put over top. It kind of tints the white. And then just to make it a bit more interesting, I came in with a favorite of mine from the AK range, Laser Yellow, and just kind of give a bit of a dot at the center, more or less, of the glowing bits, or for example, the eyes, a dot closer to the front of the eye to make it seem like, that part is glowing particularly bright. And as always, we've got to finish by quickly painting up the base rim. I pulled out my handy dandy Tenebrous Gray, which is actually a very, very, very dark purple. So I like using it when I'm doing these cooler color schemes over just a pure black rim on the base, because it kind of has a bit of that coolness to it. And for anyone that has seen my Steel Phalanx, the Aleph next wave in my mind, I have a bit of a patterning on their bases. So I came in with that same blue triad that we had used at the earlier stage, the Marine Teal, and then later the Surf Aqua, to do the raised line of fire markings, but then also to do a bit of a pattern. When I'm doing these patterns on bases, first thing I do is always just do a bit of a sketch out. I should have showed it on the video, but I didn't. I have a post-it note where I kind of played with different patterns until I had it. So when I'm doing this, I have that in front of me to use as a bit of a reference. So after I mark out the base lines with the darker color, I then come in with the highlight blue and kind of just pick out the corners of the pattern just to give it a bit more depth. It's not raised. I wouldn't even say I'm necessarily pretending that it's raised or making it fully seem like it. It just adds a bit more interest to the base. Of course, you don't need to do this. The nice thing about these Infinity bases, they have those pre-built-in line of fire markings, but not all the bases I'll be using this army have that. So this is the final model. You'll see I did add some bright red alien tufts to the base. Add a bit of warmth, just a pop of color to otherwise pretty plain base. This is a more dynamic base because it has the giant rock, but for other models in the faction, they won't have that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably be trying to put out some more painting videos, and thanks to Corvus Belli for sending this model to us to take a look at, review, and paint up. So with that, I hope you have a good day. And this has been the WIP12 painting video. Bye.